Men Over 60 MD explains the 3 simple mistakes that secretly steal your strength and balance. Have you ever found yourself struggling with a stubborn pickle jar? That little twist that just won't give. Or maybe you find yourself pausing at the bottom of the stairs, just for a moment, wondering if you have the energy to climb them. It's a quiet, nagging feeling, isn't it? The feeling that your own body is slowly starting to betray you. Most people I see in my practice, they just sigh. And they tell me, well, Dr. Wells, I guess I'm just getting old. They accept it as an unavoidable fate. But I'm here to tell you that is not the whole truth. Not by a long shot. What if this hidden thief, this thing that silently steals your strength, actually has a medical name? And more importantly, what if it can be fought? The condition is called sarcopenia. And the science on this is crystal clear. After the age of 50, the average person can lose up to 2% of their muscle mass every single year. That is not an opinion, it is a biological fact. And this fact has a human cost. A very real one. I think of a patient of mine, a wonderful man named Robert. A 72-year-old retired carpenter. He sat in my office, truly heartbroken, because he was afraid he could no longer lift his granddaughter. His fear wasn't about aging. It was about losing the moments that matter most. Hello, I'm Dr. Audrey Wells, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to pull back the curtain on sarcopenia. I will reveal to scientifically proven nutritional keys that can help you fight back, reclaim your strength, and protect your precious independence. Let's get started, alright? So now that we understand the challenge, this hidden thief called sarcopenia, let's talk about how to fight back. Let's talk about the solution. We're going to dive deep into the science, but I promise to make it simple, practical, and most importantly, actionable for you, starting today. We're going to build a foundation for your strength, and that foundation starts with 2 crucial nutritional keys. We will begin with the first and arguably the most powerful key that we need to discuss. Item number 1. The spark plug your muscles are missing. So, the first and most powerful key to unlocking your body's strength potential as you age is not just protein in general. We need to be much more specific than that. We need to focus on a particular and often critically overlooked amino acid within that protein. It's called leucine. Perhaps you've heard of it, perhaps you haven't. But I can assure you, by the end of this section, you will understand why the single nutrient is a non-negotiable part of any effective strategy to maintain muscle, strength, and independence as we get older. It is, quite simply, a game changer. Now, before we go any further, I must address a critical mistake. It's a mistake I see so many of my well-intentioned patients make, day in and day out. They hear me, or they read an article online that says protein is essential for aging muscles. And they take that advice to heart, which is a wonderful first step. So they head to the grocery store. They start buying more chicken breasts. They load up on eggs. Or they wander down the supplement aisle and they feel completely overwhelmed. They see these giant, intimidating tubs of protein powder, often marketed to 20-year-old bodybuilders. With flashy labels and confusing ingredients, they end up just grabbing the biggest one, or the one on sale, thinking protein is protein. They go home, and they diligently start drinking a chalky shake every morning. They are focusing, with the best of intentions, entirely on the quantity of the protein they're consuming. They think more is better. But in doing so, they completely miss the most important part of the entire equation. They miss the signal. They miss the one critical, biological signal that actually tells the body to use that protein to build, repair, and maintain muscle tissue. Without this specific signal, much of that extra protein you're so carefully trying to eat can be tragically ineffective. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. So, at best, it's just expensive waste. And at worst, your body simply converts those extra, unused protein calories into fat. This is one of the most common frustrations I hear in my practice. Good people like you who are actively trying to do the right thing for their health. They're putting in the effort, spending the money, and changing their habits. But they're not seeing the results they want and deserve. They still feel weak. They still feel vulnerable. And it's all because they're missing this one crucial piece of the puzzle. They have all the building materials, but they've forgotten to hire the foreman for the job. So, why does this one amino acid, leucine, matter so profoundly? Why is it the missing signal I keep mentioning? To understand this, we need to talk about a key biological process that happens to all of us as we get older. Our bodies develop a condition known as anabolic resistance. Now, I know that sounds like a complicated, intimidating medical term, but I promise you, the concept behind it is actually quite simple, and understanding it is the key to taking back control. Let's use an analogy that I find really helps my patients grasp this. Think of your body's muscle building system as a construction crew. When you were in your 20s, your 30s, even your 40s, this construction crew was young, full of energy, and incredibly efficient. You'd eat a protein-rich meal, a steak, a piece of fish, some beans, and that protein would get broken down into amino acids, which are the building blocks. Like bricks and lumber, these building materials would be delivered to the job site, which is your muscle cells. The crew's foreman, who was always alert and on the lookout, would immediately see this delivery of high-quality materials. He'd blow his whistle loud and clear, and that energetic crew would spring into action instantly. They would expertly take those bricks and that lumber and use them to repair any damage and build your muscles stronger. It was a seamless, highly effective process, but as we enter our 60s, 70s, and beyond, that same construction crew gets a little older. They've been on the job for a long time. They're a little slower, a little more tired, a little harder to hear. This is anabolic resistance in a nutshell. The protein you eat, those valuable building materials, they still get delivered to the job site. The delivery truck still backs up to your muscle cells. But the foreman, well, he's in his trailer now. The door is closed. He's got his feet up on the desk. Maybe he's taking a little nap. He doesn't hear the truck pull up. He doesn't see the delivery of all those expensive bricks and lumber. And because the foreman never comes out, the whistle never gets blown. And so, that construction crew, your muscle cells, they just sit around on their lunch break waiting for instructions. Instructions that never come. The valuable building materials, the protein you just ate, just sit there unused until eventually the body just clears them away. This is where leucine comes into the story. Leucine is the hero of this story. Leucine is the foreman who never takes a nap. Leucine is the loudest, most distinct, most attention-grabbing whistle you can blow on that construction site. When leucine arrives in your system as part of a protein-rich meal, it doesn't just wait around. It acts as a powerful, direct, undeniable biochemical signal. It bypasses the sleepy foreman entirely. It kicks open the trailer door, flips on the lights, and essentially shouts at the top of its lungs, "Attention! The materials are here. Everyone, get to work right now." It is the primary trigger. It is the master switch. It is the one amino acid that has the unique ability to kickstart the entire process of muscle protein synthesis in the body, especially in older adults. It effectively overcomes that natural laziness, that anabolic resistance, and it forces your body to pay attention and use the protein you've given it to make you stronger. And please, this is incredibly important. Do not just take my word for it. This isn't just a nice theory I came up with. This is a concept backed by decades of solid, clinical, peer-reviewed science. But one study in particular demonstrated this with incredible clarity. It was a landmark study, published in 2014 in the highly respected American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Before this study, we knew protein was important, but we were still figuring out the specifics of why it seemed to work better for some people than others as they aged. What these brilliant researchers did was they took a group of older adults and divided them. They gave them meals with varying amounts of protein and, crucially, varying amounts of leucine. Then, they used advanced techniques to measure something called muscle protein synthesis, which is just the scientific term for how well that construction crew is actually working. What they found was truly groundbreaking, and it changed how we approach nutrition for aging. They discovered that it wasn't just the total amount of protein that made the biggest difference. The group of seniors who consumed the meal that was specifically fortified with an adequate dose of leucine, their muscle-building response was dramatically, and I mean dramatically, ignited compared to the others. It was like they flipped on a powerful switch that had been dormant for years. This study provided powerful, direct evidence that leucine is the single most important limiting factor, the key, in overcoming age-related anabolic resistance. It proved, in a real-world clinical setting, that we have a specific tool to directly combat this frustrating and dangerous part of aging. To really make this stick, I want to give you one more simple analogy. It is the one I use with my patients that seems to cause the biggest aha moment for them. I want you to think of your muscles as the powerful engine in your car, and think of all the protein you eat as the gasoline. You absolutely, 100% need the gasoline to make the engine run. That is non-negotiable. But leucine is the spark plug. You can have a car with a full tank of the highest octane, most expensive premium gasoline in the world. You can fill it right to the brim. But if you have a faulty or missing spark plug, you can turn the key all day long. You'll hear that sad whirring sound of the engine trying and failing to turn over. But it will never ever start. Without that initial essential spark, that initial ignition, the fuel in the tank is completely useless. That is precisely what is happening inside the bodies of so many older adults. They are filling their tank with good protein, but their spark plug is weak, corroded, or missing entirely. Leucine provides that essential, powerful spark, allowing your muscular engine to finally ignite and use the fuel you're so carefully giving it. So, this all leads to the most important question of all. How can you, personally, incorporate this into your routine, safely and effectively? How do you get this spark to fire every single day? The scientific consensus, based on studies like the one I mentioned, suggests that the effective dose, the magic number, is to get about 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal. It's especially important to get this dose at breakfast, as this sets the stage for muscle maintenance for the entire day. Now, you can absolutely get this amount from Whole Foods, and for many, this is a great approach. Let's get specific. For example, a standard 6 or 7 ounce container of plain, full-fat Greek yogurt will typically get you right into that target range. A cup of cottage cheese is also an excellent choice. If you prefer a heartier meal, about 4 or 5 ounces of lean beef, salmon, or chicken breast will also deliver a powerful dose of leucine. The key is to consciously anchor each of your meals with a high-quality, leucine-rich protein source. However, as a doctor who has worked with seniors for decades, I have to be realistic. One of the most common challenges that comes with aging is a naturally decreased appetite, a condition we physicians call anorexia of aging. For many of my patients, the thought of preparing and eating a large piece of meat or a big bowl of dairy, especially first thing in the morning, is simply overwhelming. They tell me, "Dr. Wells, I'm just not hungry." And I hear them. In these very common cases, a targeted, high-quality nutritional supplement that is specifically designed for this purpose and is fortified with a clinical dose of leucine can be an incredibly effective and convenient solution. It allows you to get that precise, scientifically backed dose of the spark plug without having to force yourself to consume a large volume of food. It's a practical, modern tool to bridge the nutritional gap that so many people face. And this brings me right back to my patient, Robert. The wonderful, 72-year-old retired carpenter was so afraid of losing those precious moments with his granddaughter. When he first sat in my office, he was doing everything he thought was right. He told me he was eating eggs for breakfast, a turkey sandwich for lunch. He was trying, but he was still getting weaker month by month. His spark plug was sputtering out. So we devised a very simple, manageable plan. We didn't ask him to overhaul his entire life. We simply focused on one thing, creating a leucine-rich breakfast to be the anchor of his day. Because of his smaller appetite in the morning, we found a high-quality nutritional powder that he could mix with a small amount of milk or water. It was easy for him to drink, it was gentle on his system, but most importantly, it delivered that crucial 3-gram dose of leucine. That was the primary change. He did this one thing consistently every single morning. 2 months later, Robert walked into my office for his follow-up. And the change was visible before he even said a word. He wasn't slumped over. He wasn't looking at the floor in defeat. His head was held high. His shoulders were back. And he had this huge, beaming smile on his face that just lit up the room. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone, his hand steady. He said, "Doctor, you have to see this." He showed me a picture taken just the day before in his backyard. It was a picture of him, standing strong, lifting his little 6-year-old granddaughter high up in the air, his head. And they were both laughing, their faces filled with pure joy. That victory, that priceless, beautiful moment, it all started with one simple scientific spark. And that spark, as powerful as it is on its own, works even better when it's combined with our second nutritional key, which we are going to talk about right now. That story about Robert, it perfectly illustrates the power of igniting the muscle-building process. It shows what's possible when you give your body the right signal, the spark. But as we discussed with our car engine analogy, a spark plug is only one part of a functional system. An engine needs more than just a spark and fuel to run smoothly and efficiently for the long haul. It needs lubrication. It needs maintenance. It needs all its components to work in harmony. And this brings us to the second critical nutritional key for your muscle health. It's a component that is so often and so tragically overlooked when we talk about strength and stability in aging. Item number 2, the engine oil for muscle performance. All right. The second critical key that we absolutely must discuss, the partner to leucine, is vitamin D. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. Now, as soon as I say that, I know what many of you are likely thinking. Because for decades, literally for our entire lives, we have been told one thing about vitamin D. We've been told it's for our bones. We associate it with preventing osteoporosis, with helping our bodies absorb calcium, and with keeping our skeletons strong. And all of that is absolutely 100% true. It is vital for bone health. But here is the critical mistake. The dangerous half-truth that I see leading to so many preventable problems in my practice. The belief that vitamin D's job stops at the skeleton. This narrow view is a relic of outdated medical education. The reality is, millions of seniors in America today have perfectly adequate bone density. Their bones are strong, but their muscles are weak, unresponsive, and atrophied. They have a strong frame but a weak engine. This dangerous combination leaves them incredibly vulnerable. They are functionally frail, not because their bones are brittle, but because the very muscles that are supposed to support and move that skeleton are failing them. And a primary, often undiagnosed, reason for this muscular failure is an insufficiency in vitamin D. Believing it's only for bones is like believing engine oil is only for the oil pan. It misses the entire point of how the system actually works. It's a fundamental misunderstanding that, for many, is the missing link between feeling weak and feeling strong. So why? Why is vitamin D so essential for the actual performance of your muscles? What is the biological mechanism here? The reason is fascinating. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin, it actually functions as a steroid hormone within the body and your muscle cells. Every single one of them are studded with specific receptors for vitamin D. Think of these receptors like tiny, specialized keyholes. Vitamin D is the unique key that fits into those locks. When vitamin D binds to these receptors on your muscle cells, it unlocks a whole cascade of crucial downstream effects. First, and perhaps most importantly, it directly influences the function and contraction of the muscle fibers themselves. It plays a pivotal role in the complex dance of calcium ions within the muscle cell, a process that is essential for a strong, forceful contraction. If you don't have enough vitamin D, your muscles simply cannot contract with their full potential strength. The signal from your brain to lift this gets muffled. The muscle fiber itself is physically less capable of responding to the command. Second, vitamin D is essential for the communication between your nerves and your muscles. It helps maintain the health of the neuromuscular junction. That's the point where the nerve ending meets the muscle fiber. A healthy connection here means a fast, clear, and powerful signal. A connection that is degraded due to low vitamin D means the signal becomes weak, like a fuzzy radio station. This leads to poor coordination, slow reaction times, and that feeling of unsteadiness that is so deeply frightening. You think you're telling your foot to step up onto the curb, but the message arrives a split second too late or with too little force. And in that split second, a fall can happen. So you see, it's a two-pronged attack. If you don't have enough vitamin D, the muscle fiber itself is weaker, and the signal telling it what to do is weaker. It doesn't matter how much protein or leucine you consume. If the muscle itself can't fire at full strength, you will be weak. The construction crew can be on site and ready to work, but if the electricity is out, they can't power their tools. And again, I must stress this is not just a fringe medical theory. The research on this topic is now overwhelming and unequivocal. We are long past the point of debate on this in the scientific community. A major, comprehensive review of dozens of studies was published in the highly respected Journal of Aging and Geriatric Medicine. The researchers compiled and analyzed data from thousands and thousands of older adults. From multiple trials, their conclusion was stated in no uncertain terms. They confirmed a direct, powerful, and dose-dependent link between low vitamin D levels in seniors and a significantly higher risk of muscle weakness, poor physical performance, and most importantly, a higher incidence of falls and fractures. The connection is undeniable. It's as clear a link as we have in geriatric medicine. Low vitamin D equals weaker muscles. Weaker muscles equal a higher risk of falling. And for an older adult, a fall is often the single catastrophic event that marks the end of their independence. It is the event we must all work tirelessly to prevent. To bring this all together, let's go back to our car engine analogy. It works perfectly here as well. If leucine is the spark plug that ignites the engine, then think of vitamin D as the high-performance motor oil. You can have a powerful engine, a full tank of premium fuel, and a brand new spark plug. The engine can start right up. But if you have no oil or very low, dirty oil in that engine, what happens? The parts can't move smoothly. There is friction. There is grinding. The pistons struggle to fire. The engine overheats, sputters, and eventually, it will seize up completely. You'll be stranded on the side of the road, going absolutely nowhere. Your muscles are the same. They can be fueled by protein and ignited by leucine, but without the lubricating, function-enabling properties of vitamin D, they cannot perform smoothly or powerfully. They will sputter. They will fail you when you need them most. So the crucial question becomes, how do you ensure your engine has enough oil? What is the practical application of this knowledge? First, let's talk about dosage. The official recommendations can sometimes be a bit outdated, but the current consensus in the field of geriatric health is that most adults over the age of 60 need a bare minimum of 800 U, which stands for international units, per day. And frankly, many individuals, especially those living in northern climates, who are overweight or who have darker skin, often need significantly more to maintain optimal levels. Doses of 1,000 to 2,000 U per day are commonly and safely recommended. Now, how do you get it? We all know about the sun. And yes, exposing your skin to direct, midday sunlight does cause your body to produce vitamin D. However, as we age, our skin becomes much less efficient at this conversion process. An older adult might need to spend 3 or 4 times as long in the sun as a 20-year-old to produce the same amount of vitamin D. And for many, due to skin cancer risks or mobility issues, getting consistent, effective sun exposure is just not a realistic strategy. What about food? There are some food sources, but they are limited. Fatty fish like salmon and mackerel are excellent sources. Some foods like milk and certain cereals are fortified with vitamin D. But it is very, very difficult to get a clinically sufficient amount of vitamin D from diet alone. You would have to eat salmon every single day. Therefore, for the vast majority of older adults, the most reliable, effective, and safest way to ensure you have enough of this crucial nutrient is through a high-quality vitamin D3 supplement. D3, or cholecalciferol, is the form that is most easily absorbed and utilized by the body. And this brings me to the single most important piece of advice in this entire section. The next time you see your primary care doctor, I want you to ask for one simple thing. Ask for a 25-hydroxy-vitamin D blood test. It is a simple, inexpensive blood test that will tell you exactly what your vitamin D level is. Not a guess, not an estimate, a hard number. This is a critical piece of health data that every single older adult should know. Once you have that number, you and your doctor can work together to create a personalized supplementation plan that is right for you. You must know your level. This knowledge, it's a powerful thing. And it can create truly life-changing results. I see it in my clinic all the time. I had another patient, a lovely woman named Carol, who was 78. She came to me complaining of just terrible weakness and a deep, aching feeling in her legs. She was an avid reader, but she told me that getting up from her favorite armchair, her reading chair, had become a monumental effort. She had to rock back and forth and push off with both hands, and she was terrified that one day she simply wouldn't be able to get up at all. We looked at her diet, and it was actually quite decent. She was getting a good amount of protein, but when we ran her blood work, her vitamin D level was in the basement. It was one of the lowest I had seen that year. She had a strong skeleton, but her muscles were, quite literally, starving for this hormone. We started her on a doctor-recommended vitamin D3 supplement, a safe but therapeutic dose designed to bring her levels back up into the optimal range. It was the only significant change we made. 6 weeks later, she came back for a follow-up. She walked into the exam room and she had this little, mischievous twinkle in her eye. She said, "Dr. Wells, watch this." And right there in the middle of the room, she stood up straight, crossed her arms over her chest, and proceeded to sit down in a chair and stand right back up, 5 times in a row, without ever using her hands. She told me it was the first time in years she had been able to get up from her favorite reading chair without a struggle. That is the power of synergy. You see, Robert's victory with his granddaughter, that was about the spark plug. Leucine rebuilt and reignited his muscular engine. Carol's victory over her armchair, that was about the motor oil. Vitamin D lubricated that engine and allowed it to run beautifully. When you combine both, when you ensure your body has both the spark plug and the motor oil, that is when you create a truly resilient, powerful, and reliable system. That is how you build a body that will support you, protect you, and allow you to live a vibrant, independent life for years and years to come. So let's quickly bring everything together. We've journeyed through some deep science today, but the conclusion is beautifully simple. To fight back against that hidden thief, Sarcopenia, to reclaim your strength, we learned that we need to address 2 critical things. First, we need the spark plug, that powerful amino acid, leucine, ignites our body's muscle-building engine, and second, we need the motor oil. That essential hormone, vitamin D, is needed to ensure those muscles can perform their job smoothly and powerfully. But as I always tell my patients, knowledge without action is just entertainment. It feels good to learn something new, but real change only happens when you apply that knowledge. So here is your simple 3-step doctor's prescription for this week. I want you to think of this as your starting line. Step number 1. Look at your breakfast tomorrow morning. Just look at it and ask yourself one question. Does this meal have a high-quality, leucine-rich protein source like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or eggs? If not, what small change can you make? Step number 2, this one is crucial. Pick up the phone and call your doctor's office. Simply tell them you'd like to schedule a simple blood test to check your vitamin D levels. It is one of the most important pieces of data you can have about your health. And step number 3, just for today. Right after this video ends, find a sturdy chair. A dining room chair is perfect, and I want you to stand up and sit back down 5 times without using your hands for support. Just feel your muscles working. That's it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking right now, "Doctor, Wells, this sounds a little too simple, or I'm just too tired, I don't know where to begin. If that's you, I want you to remember Robert and Carol. Their incredible journeys didn't start with a massive, overwhelming lifestyle change. They didn't suddenly start training for a marathon. Robert's journey started with a better breakfast. Carol started with one simple supplement and a doctor's visit. It all begins with a single, small, informed step. Trust that process. Because this isn't just about protein and vitamins. This is about your future. This is about having the strength to travel without fear. It's about being able to kneel in your garden and get back up again with ease. It's about having the power and the stability to live in your own home, on your own terms, for as long as you choose. It's about never, ever having to feel like you are a burden to the people that you love most. Your independence is your most precious asset. It is worth fighting for. And the fight, it starts today. So, if you are committed to taking that first small step, if you're ready to start this journey, I want you to do two things for me right now. First, go down to the comments section and type two simple words, Day 1. That's not for me. That is a public promise to yourself. It's a declaration that today is the day your future self will thank you for. And while you're there, if you found value in our conversation today, please click that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Our community here is growing every day, and I don't want you to miss our future health discussions. Thank you for investing your valuable time with me today. It truly means the world. In my next video, we're going to discuss the 3 surprising and often ignored signs of poor circulation in your body. It's a crucial topic you won't want to miss. Until then, remember, your health is your greatest asset. Stay informed and stay strong.